Good afternoon and welcome to the last breakout session of the day. I hope you've all had a great day. My name's Michelle Hines. I'm part of 99 Girlfriends in Portland, Oregon. And I have some friends in the room. Tammy Wilhort, our chair, is sitting right up front. And I have the great pleasure of hosting a session that I've really been looking forward to. So I'm going to stop talking and introduce our speakers, whose beautiful faces you can see on the screen. I also, before we launch in, I want to thank and acknowledge Linda Egbier from Arundel, who's one of our hosts. Hi, Linda. Thanks so much for your help. And then I have next to me Sue Pitchford, also from Arundel, one of the co-hosting organizations. Ellan Bernstein, who is on the Philanos board and who is playing double duty as our board co-host this afternoon. And Tatiana Joyce from the Philanthropy Connection in Boston. And so we've got a great session planned for you. We're going to start by having each person just tell you a little bit about herself and her circle. Then we're going to go a little bit deeper into each person's what and why of their economic inclusion journey. And then we're going to give you an opportunity to ask some questions, to talk to each other, and to pose some questions to the speakers. So as in many other sessions that you've gone to today, you do have some index cards on your tables, and you can use those to jot notes, jot questions, and Linda and I will go around and pick those up in a little bit. So we're going to do these three things that I can't actually see while I'm talking to you. But here are the three things we're going to do today. I'm going to let you read them yourself since we made these beautiful slides. So we're going to hear from these three leaders who have experimented with different levels of member financial contribution. We're going to explore some questions about the intent, the logistics, the impact relating to different levels of member contribution in these three circles. And we've got some different stages of development, including one circle that just now has a year of data about what's happened. So that's going to be really awesome. And as I said, we're going to learn with and from one another like we've been doing all day. So before we tell you a lot about us, we'd like to know a little bit more about you. So how big is your circle? Do you have fewer than 100 members? Raise your hand. Do you have between 100 and 200? Raise your hand. A lot of those folks. Okay. And remind me who on the panel has a circle about that size. And then between 2 and 3? Also a sizable number. Between 3 and 4? And anybody who's bigger than that? I know some of you are 500 and change. Fantastic. So we've got some diversity on the panel and we've got some diversity here too. Yeah. Who's new? Who was founded 5 or fewer years ago? Okay, we got a couple folks like that. How about 10 or more years ago? Who's mature? And how about somewhere in the middle? 99 Girlfriends is in the middle. We just gave our 8th round of grants. I counted. We just gave between 7 and 8, but we just passed $3 million also. And who's already experimenting with different types of membership or different tiers of membership? A lot of you, okay? Who's just curious? Who hasn't tried anything like this yet? Has anybody tried something that didn't work? Not yet, huh? We can always do better. Has anybody tried something that flopped or tried to try something, but your members really pushed back? A couple of you. Yeah. So we're going to learn from that too. So now that we know a little bit more about who's in the room, I am going to hand off to my fabulous colleagues. And Sue, you're up next.
Good afternoon. I'm Sue Pitchford, and I am currently the membership chair of Arundel Women Giving Together, which is really a mouthful. So I just refer to it as the Giving Circle. And We serve the county of Anne Arundel, if you can see that, and we are just south of Baltimore, so we're very close to here. The capital of the county and the capital of Maryland is Annapolis. In the county, we have a population of just under 600,000, but in Annapolis, we only have 35,000. That's our biggest city. So we are an interesting combination, some rural but no real big city folks. According to some data, which I'm not sure I actually believe, the median income is $108,000 and the poverty rate is 4%. And I don't buy that in a minute. So I will do more research next time. We were founded in 2006. We have just hit the 300 member mark, which I'm very excited about. And I did need to mention that we are a component fund of the Community Foundation of Anne Arundel County. They would not be happy if I did not mention that. And I was a past president. I was also a past grants chair. And now I just want to mention the mission of Anne Arundel Women Giving Together is to fund initiatives and organizations that improve the lives of women and families in Anne Arundel County.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ellan Bernstein. I am a member of Impact 100 Philadelphia. I was on the founding board, secretary, helped to get the Founders Fellows program off the ground, the DEI committee off the ground, and I am no longer on the board because I am now on the Philanos board as secretary. So there's a little pattern there of what my skills are. So we serve the city of Philadelphia and the 4 surrounding counties around Philadelphia, which are very diverse counties. Philadelphia is a large East Coast city. And for one of the counties that's a little further out, Chester County is a very rural, more affluent county. We were founded in 2008. This past grant year, we had 377 members. I find that to be a hard, when somebody asks how many members do you have, that changes every year because our donation is an annual donation. So honestly, in some years, we've been over 400, sometimes a little less, but this is where we are right now, which may be what our sweet spot is, given post-COVID and seeing, where we are, which I think is phenomenal. And we are entering our 15th grant year. And over those years, we've given $4.5 million into the communities. I thought that was a lot of money until I've heard about some of these other organizations that have been around longer and have given more, which gives me motivation to keep doing what we're doing. Our members are primarily from the suburbs. I'm told that the average age is 60. That, like, Sue, I don't like that stat. I mean, we have people, as you'll hear, in their 20s, 30s, 40s. But I would say, again, I use the word sweet spot is our 50s and 60s. And that's it. That's my slide.
I'm going to try to be a little lightning round for my slide here, because you're going to have this accessible to you. I'm going to take a note from earlier. So my human-centered introduction about myself. I'm Tatiana. I use the she series pronouns. Born and bred from Boston, an aunt before most things, and a grant maker professionally and personally. So I'm excited to be here. I'm representing the Philanthropy Connection and my 13 going on 14 nieces and nephews, ranging from newborn to 25. I'm only 30, so that's a complicated family. But they inspire me in all of my levels of grant making because they challenge me and inspire me and make me think about the world differently. So, here's our stats. What I'm going to share briefly is that Boston is shaped funny. Greater Boston is shaped a bit funny. We have a very diverse membership, and I think we fund a really diverse portfolio of grants because we're sprawled in a few different directions. But we aim to give about $25,000 grants a year. That's the goal. Just like other collective giving groups, right? We shoot for that goal, so that can fluctuate. But what I'm excited to share about today are the strategies in which we actually really work to keep our membership diverse. So the only thing I'll say from this slide really is that 15% of our members are 35 and under. Now, this is self-reported data. In some years when we have hit the data harder, we've been consistently able to say like about a quarter of our membership is 35 and under. And so that's just an age demographic, but we're going to get into that more as we advance in the presentation. So let's keep it going.
That's actually a group. This is represented one of our grantees, the Community Action Agency, that does work programs during the summer for underprivileged kids, which we love that group. So, as I said, we were founded in 2006. We had 15 founders that grew to 71 members by the end of the year. Our annual contribution at that point was $550, which has since gone up to $575 for the $75 administrative fee. Now, unlike the Impact 100 model, we only give grants between $5,000 and $25,000. Last year, we gave 9 grants totaling $164,000, and we've granted $1.7 million. So far. Now, in 2009, we added a member category, which was 35 and under. It eventually went up to 40 and under, and we reduced it to $350. And we got some membership. I would not call that particularly successful. We really weren't able to engage them and to keep them going. But a couple of years ago, we really started to get into trust-based philanthropy, and we tried some new grants like racial equity grants and multi-year grants, and we realized that our membership is not deep enough to be able to really help and understand exactly what the needs are in the community, and that we needed to be able to reflect the demographics of Anne Arundel County a lot more closely, and to engage them in the grants process as well as in leadership. So what we decided to do is 13 months ago, we created tiered memberships. Now, this is both for new and renewing members, and it's 1 member, 1 vote. Now, as I said, the goal was to more broadly represent the community. And as you can see that we range from $175 to $1,075. We also have a lifetime membership, which if you were in the last session, Bronwyn would tell you about. And so we wanted to both grow members as well as grow grant-making funds. Now, there are a number of members who were concerned about the grant-making fund part of that. They thought that the membership might go up, but we might actually reduce the funds. So I'll tell you what happened in the next slide. But we really wanted younger, more ethnically diverse, financially diverse, and geographically dispersed. We were really looking for that. And that's what we're hoping to get from this particular change. Well, from a new member standpoint, we really did well. So in the 11 months until the slide was made, we had 66 new members. And as of now, we have 75 new members since October the 1st of last year. Now, the good news is that 90%, as you can see, the 90% of all the renewals of people that were originally at $575 were either at $575 or $1,075. So from a grant fund perspective, we're doing very well. Now, the new members, the 75, are split equally among the 3 lowest tiers. We only have a couple of the 1,075 ones, but it's split equally. And with that, we are able to get the grant making funds from the membership dues to be actually higher than last year. But what we do at the end of the year is we have a special campaign to get people to give additional money. So we need that campaign in order to actually get higher than $164,000, I think. But we'll see if it actually works, because most of the people that were giving extra money went up to the $1,075 level. So I don't know if there'll be extra money out there. Now, anecdotally, the new members are younger and they're more diverse. They're definitely more diverse. Anecdotally, they're younger. The problem is that right now, our giving circle does not collect demographic data. And it's been a little controversial, people concerned about privacy and offending members, but we are in the process of making that happen, because in my opinion, you cannot measure success unless you know where you started and where you are ending up. The good news is that 4 of the newest members are on our leadership team for next year. So we are moving along in that process. And of course, retention of the new members is just really critical. And with so many new members, it gets fairly complicated. We do have a mentor program. We have a new member orientation at least twice a year. We may go to 4 times a year. And we also have our membership committee, who is amazing. They call every single person once a year to check in and to find out what's good and what's bad. And if they haven't renewed yet, to remind them to renew. So, but we've got other retention strategies as well, but those are the 3 big ones.
So as you can see in this slide, the only thing I want to point out again is that we're in our 15th year of grant making. So we started in 2008, annual very traditional impact 100 model, an annual contribution of $1,000, pool your funds, make $100,000 grant, 1 member, 1 vote. In 2016, took a little while, 8 years to figure out that as we were growing, our first year we had 111 members. As we were growing, takes money to run an organization, right? So we added a $150 admin fee. So now our standard membership fee is $1,150. In 2014, in an attempt to diversify our membership by age, race, religion, geography, we added a program, a new membership level called the Founders Fellows Program. And honestly, I want to thank Boston, because TPC had started the program first. We had come to a conference. We wanted to do this, and they really mentored us in starting the program. Our programs are very different now, but that's what this conference can provide is you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can get great ideas, and we will forever be grateful to Boston for that. So the Founders Fellows Program is geared towards young women between the ages of 21 and 35. As I said, it was created to increase diversity of our membership. In year 1, the membership fee is fully sponsored. And then each year to year 5, the fellows will pay what they can towards the membership, so that by the end of their fellowship being over, they will hopefully join as a full member at $1,150. The fellows are required to serve on a grant committee, to go to our annual meeting, and are strongly encouraged to participate in another committee of interest or where they bring their own skills. a diverse membership brings diverse perspectives. So, and we're a grant making organization, so we want as much diversity, in our grant making. In 2014, we did add the ability for any member to pay on an installment plan. They can work that out. It's not a rigid plan. They can work that out with the treasurer. Okay, next slide. So the next change in our membership levels was in 2018 when we started the Young Philanthropist membership. That word is so hard. Philanthropist membership level. And again, for women between the ages of 21 and 35, still continuing to try to diversify our membership around age, race, religion, geography, but seeing the need to really encourage women of all economic brackets. And so we created this category, membership category, at half of the membership price of $575. Still one member, one vote, full membership, no requirements like the Founders Fellows though. However, we did change the Founders Fellows program to run, because it's the same age group, to run concurrently. And we changed that to a 3-year program where year 1 is fully subsidized. Then it's scaled up to $575. The fellowship program ends at that point, where again, hopefully the fellows will join as a full member. In the last grant year, we had 44 YPs, 7 of which were Founders Fellows. Okay. So as I mentioned, for us, the greatest impact of having both a Founders Fellows and I'm going to just say YP program is the immense positive impact that these women have had in the grant making area. To have women, diverse women at the table, and bringing their diverse perspectives, lived experiences, but also their work experiences, women in nonprofit worlds, makes us all better grant makers, because we learn things that I may not have ever experienced. So we definitely have felt in the grant making area that we're just better grant makers, both within our organization and in the philanthropic community. In addition, we've made it a priority to mentor the younger women, engage them in the operations of the organization, and we've encouraged them to take on leadership opportunities. So that benefits everybody. It benefits us with trying to develop a pipeline of leaders, which I know many of our organizations are having trouble with, having people to step into roles. And also this gives the younger women leadership skills that they can use in our organization, in their jobs, in their life. And by meeting women of all ages, there have been mentor relationships that have organically grown, networking opportunities. So there's benefits to both impact and also YPs and Founders Fellows. Some challenges, that we've addressed is primarily the biggest challenge is retaining younger members, whether they're Founders Fellows or YPs. That age group is developing their careers, not as much time, getting married, having babies, moving, for job opportunities. And my take on this is, even if they don't remain in the organization for a long time, we've engaged them, we've learned from them, they've brought valuable lessons to the organization. So it's a win-win to me for as long as, in my opinion, for as long as they can stay. Interestingly, this past year, some there has been some discussion in the Founders Fellows Committee about equity issues. That membership level is the only membership level that has requirements. They have to serve on the grants committee, come to the annual meeting. Nobody, any other member, whether you're a YP or a standard member, you could be a silent member. You could pay your membership, vote, not vote, but there's some discussion in the membership committee about whether or not those requirements should remain. So to be seen what the membership committee does with that. Then the only other, I don't even really want to call it a challenge, but as you do installment plans, you have to sort of acknowledge that there's some administrative cost in terms of, I would say, time in managing that, making sure your whatever platform you're using is easy to use, and just following up on that.
All right, this is where I have to stand in order to catch the mic. Okay, everyone, can we all just take like a collective breath together? Like, okay, we're awake, we're present, we're grounded in our bodies and our mission in ourselves. Again, I'm Tatiana Joyce, and I'm here representing the Philanthropy Connection. I just want to highlight one of the core moments for me with TPC is that our mission is to give, receive, and learn. So there is so much that our membership brings to the table, and our membership tells us that they receive so much. And something that I just wanted to kick things off with in my remarks is that a through line between all of our organizations is that we have one member and one vote. We are not fractions of ourselves, right? We're not perpetuating that. And I just want to say that really intentionally, because I think that all of us as organizations are evolving. So the more we share a best practice, the more we really are able to uplift it as really and truly something we should all be striving for. So I love that I'm a part of a panelist that acknowledges we should all be a whole and be contributing in that similar space. Next slide, please. So with the Philanthropy Connection, at our inception, we've always had a tiered giving model. It's been based in age. So you're either over 35 or you're 35 and under. So my goal here, inception 2012 to 2020, this slide shows you just a snapshot of where we've been. So we've always had two tiers, and it's been really rooted in an age differentiation. We used to really if you're over 35, you're just a seasoned member. You're not old. Why do we care about that? But at the beginning, we've always had a fully subsidized membership option. We would do some internal fundraising, and that program became more intentional. But we always sort of had this moment of money shouldn't be a reason why you don't get to be a part of our collective. Now let's talk about how we changed, because we didn't want to be so deeply rooted in, are you 35 and over? It's none of our business. So on this slide, you'll see in 2021, we then evolved to a 4-tier membership model. And we've been in conversation with other groups who have also adopted a multi-tier model. So shout outs to this, community, just always being open and receptive to one another. And so we are really proud to say we don't ask for people to prove why they should be at any one of these levels. As I've said, it's none of our business. And if we believe in trust-based philanthropy, sorry, that's my Invisalign talking. If we believe in trust-based philanthropy for our grantee partners, should we not extend that same courtesy to our own communities and our own members, regardless of where you are in your financial planning and growth in life? We trust that our members will give what they can and be generous themselves with that contribution. Again, always one member, one vote. And something that I really want to shout out that I was excited to hear other groups doing as well is that we're offering free memberships to grantee partners. And I'm going to talk additionally about why that's important in just a moment. but I just wanted to shout that out, right? So some best practices that we're sharing are 1 member, 1 vote, multi-opportunities. So whatever your tiers look like, but multiple opportunities to select in to these groups. And then additionally, I would say that a fellowship opportunity is being lifted up today. I'll talk more about that. Next slide, please. So in case you're interested in the numbers and you want to know, well, what does it mean for where you started? And what does it mean for where you are now? I just want to address the elephant in the room that one of my panelists brought up, which is if you allow for a lower tier in terms of entering your group, are you going to have more members and then your grants pool is going to disappear? We found that the answer is no. And if we continue to make decisions that are fear-based, we're not going to learn anything new. And we want to be brave in these spaces and we want to continue to learn. So, I'll share in the next slide in just a moment what we learned from this. But this is just a slide to let you know what the numbers equal out to is people stayed at their giving level or increased. And we actually just created new opportunities for people to join us in a way that was more accessible. Always 1 member, 1 vote. We used to do monthly opportunity for payments to the point of administrative burden. Not sustainable. We did try. But now we still have quarterly. Again, an administrative burden, but something that is much more sustainable. Next slide, please. So to my point of lessons learned, our membership is generous. We did not have the experience that people kind of self-selected down. But I do want to say, and if anybody needed to do that, why would that be so bad? What if that helped someone stay a member through a tough time or a time of change in their lives? So just want to put that out there. And I want to take a moment to give a huge, huge shout out to our communications committee, because when we changed our membership structure, we really needed to socialize that. So it was about education events. Oh, I got so excited. It was about education events. It was about our newsletter. We call it The Link, but we really socialized it, and it was just widely well received by our membership. So it really just was about creating more of an equitable and accessible group, and considering, that we waffle between, right, because this is all self-reported demographic data, 15 and 25% of members being younger, being more diverse. We know that if you prioritize diversity, that is how you achieve it, right? So if you don't make yourself more accessible and strive and try to learn, your membership's going to look the same. Sorry to say it. Next slide, please. So the last thing that I'm going to talk about is our fellowship relaunch. So when we went to our tiered 4 levels, we had to take a break from the fellowship, because the way that program looks for us is it's not just about a free membership. It's access to mentorship. It's access to attending board meetings, serving on a committee. It's actually taken on this this is going to sound so Boston, very illustrious resume moment. And, I know where I'm from, born and raised. And, so it's lovely that it is being so well regarded, but really and truly, it's less about a free membership opportunity. And it's more about being able to invest in multi-generational leadership and mentorship opportunity. So marketing is everything is something that I've heard. And I just think it really comes through. And so the last thing I'll lean into is that when you invest in the diversity of your membership, your yields will be manyfold. I joined TPC when I was broke as a joke in 23, fresh out of college. And I just celebrated my 30th birthday this year, still going strong. I'm on the board. I've chaired our grants committee for 2 or 3 years now. And I will say that the 2016 fellows are probably the best in our group. But that's because nearly half of my fellowship class has served on the board. So it just really underscores that when you invest in the diversity of your groups, the yields will be truly wonderful. So really thank you for your time. And I think we're good on timing to have questions. All right. My pleasure.
Before we move on to Q&A, I'd like to give our speakers a huge round of applause. That was a great set of presentations. Also, I'm going to apologize to Tatiana for misidentifying her as a Philanos board member, because I know that Auntie is a proud title, and so is the Philanthropy Connection board member.
Are you plotting on me?
Maybe. You'll have to ask Ellan. So thank you, everybody. We want to give you a chance to talk to each other. We are pretty good on time here. I think our speakers are going to float in case you want to grab one of them and ask them a super specific question. But I really do want to encourage you to meet the people sitting next to you. The folks in the back can squeeze in and join you. And like, what'd you learn? What was interesting? What was provocative for you? What might you want to challenge in terms of who your members are or who you think they are? And what questions are coming up for you? And just jot some questions down. We'll bring them up here and we'll answer as many as we can. You have about 10 minutes for this. Okay, Sue and Tatiana and Ellan. Where'd Ellan go? Can I ask you to make your way back up here? Thank you all. Thanks for playing. So we got about a half a dozen questions, and I've given the speakers a couple of them just to kick off, because anyone can answer. We got a lot of questions about the free grantee memberships. How long do they last? Do they get a vote? And so a couple of folks are going to speak to that. We also got one question. Raise your hand if this is your question about DEI involvement. Yes. Tell us your name, please. Denise. Hi. So Denise asked a question for everybody, which is, has anybody worked with local businesses, government agencies, educational institutions to try to get their DEI staff, their DEI lead, their HR person to join to try to diversify your membership and use them as recruiters? Some people, raise your hand if you've done that. Okay, so this seems like a member recruitment strategy. There's a couple folks up here you could talk to after. Sue, you want to kick us off?
Sure. Question is, how do you publicize the new tiered membership system or the fellow program beyond your membership? Well, we have a great communications committee led by lady in the back of the room. And they do a lot of, we do what we can. There's a newsletter every month. And what we do is we have a contact list of over 2,000 people. And so they get our newsletter once a month, and they also get all the announcements for all of our events. We do 4 educational events a year that are open to the public. So, and when we do that, we talk about membership, of course, and we talk about what it means to be a member. Plus, we do a recruitment event, which is the open house. Plus, we do a grants showcase. Now we have 9 grantees this year and about the same number last year. And so we have the grantees who just completed their grant stand up and talk about it. So we ended up with about 225 people in this grant showcase, and they hear about the grants. They also have tables around for the new and old grantees, so that people can go up to the tables and find out more about the organization. So we have with that mailing list, it really gets publicized. Well, yeah, because we're a part of the community foundation, so they advertise things as well for us and in their newsletter.
Great. Do either of the other speakers have anything to say on that topic, or anybody in the audience?
Something that I wanted to lift up, because a couple of questions asked, how do we socialize our fellowship opportunity? I really want to shout out my fellow board members, because almost every single one, we have, I think, 16 members of our board. So they are also socializing within their networks. And shout outs again to we also have a really strong communications committee. They make it very cookie cutter for us. Copy and paste. Do not just, send it in your email, but truly truly, where is your, social following, whether that's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. And if you feel like your collective giving group doesn't have a strong social presence, I think that's a place to invest in.
Thanks, Tatiana.
I can add a little bit to both of my co-panelists, in addition to social media, newsletters. At one point, in Denise and Carrie, who are from Impact, I'm not on the board anymore, but through our membership committee, we would have member recruitment events that were targeted to women, all women, but the areas that we're talking about, younger members. So that's another way through your membership committee, you can have an engagement, a member event. I want to just move on. There was another question about our fellowship program. And one thing that I didn't bring up in my remarks is to think about how you as a board want to fund a program. Okay. And that has evolved at Impact. To be honest, when we first started the program, we were, much younger and we had a smaller budget. And there were women that donated extra money to fund that program. Not really sustainable. And if that program and the goal of bringing more diversity into your organization is a priority, then it became clear that needed to be a priority of the board, and funds were allocated and set aside through the normal budget process for that program. And I guess depending on the budget every year, there could be more money or less money. So if you're going to start this program, think about how you're going to fund it for the number of people and where that money is going to come from. There's a question here about, what is our process, and do you apply for the fellowship? And yes, it is an application process. Again, as things evolve, where we have learned to get the word out most is through social media and doing whatever you do to bump up more hits on Facebook and Instagram, word of mouth through our membership. We went to our membership and said, who do you know would be a great applicant for this program? We go to our past grantees, please get the word out. And that seems to be the best way to advertise the program. There's an application, there's a committee, there's an application, there's a half an hour interview, with the applicants, and then it's sort of like the grants, and then the committee decides who they would like to offer the fellowship to. If you're interested, just like Boston did to us, happy to share the application, how we do the interview questions, what we're looking for, and then there's an onboarding for the fellows. So I
Ellen,
think that's it about that.
I know a lot of people raise their hands that some of you have experiments too. So who has an application process for their younger sponsored members? So there could be a lot of peer learning around this question, and maybe there's a way that we could make that available to folks.
Yes. And, you might say, what are you asking, or what's the, what do you want to, in the interview, what are you trying to find out? And, one, we want to have a diverse class, because diversity is, that's the goal. A diverse class, now age, sexual preference, disability. Honestly, there was one year where there was a member of the committee. We interviewed someone who had a physical disability, and she said, that's my bias. I'm uncomfortable by that. And we said, that's why that person needs to be part of our organization. And in the interview, we try to gauge how serious someone is, why they want to be part of collective giving, what their skills are. We try to see if they're committed to Philadelphia. And again, like I've said, that, that's just hard. Somebody goes back to school and is going to be a dentist and they're going to wash you, good for them, but in the interview, they didn't know that that was going to happen. And we do not ask any questions about what your financial situation is. It's not our business, but also everybody, how do you do that? Maybe somebody is working at a law firm, but has, $200,000 in debt and is taking care of their brother. So, we don't do that. And we just try to get to know the applicants and get a feel for whether it would be a good match for them and for us.
So we got a couple questions here. Do you advertise what tiers members are on? So for the Philanthropy Connection, we do not. We also have not gotten any feedback from our members that people want that. So nobody wants to be recognized as a catalyst funder or a giver at 1,200 or 2,500. People aren't interested in it. So we absolutely don't advertise about that. Also, TPC of your new tiers, how much to administrative fees. So I just wanted to say, our tiers are our tiers, and then we have a percentage. So we just collect the membership tiers that folks pay into, and then we have just set our administrative fees at a percentage. A strategy, something you may or may not be interested in, but it certainly is what we are doing right now. And I also, I have one more question, but that's a great question. And I really think that it's like an inheritance of the sponsorship, language that we all sort of use. And so it's something to think about. You're right. By naming them, we are associating, we're making connotations to what those gifts mean. So I would say it's up for and has a possibility of being something under construction. But also I think because our membership is not interested in being recognized at that level, there's currently no circus, no monkeys about it. And then the other question that I just wanted to address was on the free memberships for grantee partners. So let me just clarify, because a couple of people, when I circled around in the room and then we had some written down. So when our applicants transition to then grantee partners, we make sure we very transparently communicate that if they have folks who want to be members, then we make that happen. So it's during their grantee year. And then something that I did want to share is that after their free or subsidized grantee year participation, we have had, I wish I had the number on me right now. I don't. But we have had more than, I think 4 or 5 grantee partners then transition to say, I would like to invest in a membership, and not just at the introductory level. So again, to that point of people giving what is appropriate for them. So I see some questions.
Yes. I see some questions. I see a few questions. So Tammy, you asked your follow-up question. Okay. Were you done talking, Tatiana?
Yes.
Okay, super. You had your hand up in the back, and then it's your turn next.
Follow-up question. Who are the people who are joining from the grantee? Is it the board member, the executive director, staff member?
It's anyone. So it has been, sorry. So the question was, that's right, because we're recording. So the question was, who from your grantee partners is joining? Is it just the ED? Is it just the development, fundraiser staff person? Is it the direct service provider? It's anyone. And it has been all of them. Yeah, and volunteers. Thank you. Our president is joining. So actually, shout outs to Leslie, one of our co-presidents. Thank you so much for being here.
So it can be more than one.
Yes. Yes, we do a limit of 2, and it's been arranged. So some people want 2 members. I think some folks have had like 1 person join, but we'll offer up to 2.
That was my question.
That was your question.
Perfect.
Okay.
One more, sorry.
Excellent. Pro action. Yes, I see.
Is the percent for your admin fee the same across all levels?
The percentage, I keep doing this
Okay.
now. I'm just,
Sorry.
no, it's me. So the question was, is the percentage different for levels, but it's just all the same across all levels. So no matter what you give, again, we're all really participating in an equitable way. Percentage amount.
Actually, I wanted to mention the question about whether or not we advertise who is, and that we made really clear that it was completely confidential, that no one except me actually knows who, who has gone up, who's reduced, and what people are joining at. And speaking of the naming them, we talked a lot about that, and I actually not sure how we ended up naming it. But one of the things that someone has suggested is that we call them membership options instead of tiers, because the tiers definitely connotate, better and all the rest of that stuff. So we may end up doing that. Yeah.
Please tell us your name, and whoever answers your question will repeat it for us.
So my name is Tatiana, and my question is around the grantee vote. We have had community partners that join the Giving Circle paying members, but they usually recuse themselves from the vote because they don't want to have the bias and the conflict of interest. Do you guys do that too, or how do you deal with the vote? Because we've had members say like that's not fair that they get to vote on the organization, because they can essentially on the form that we have put 100% towards their organization.
That's really interesting. So on our grants team, well, everyone fills out a conflict of interest form. So you just say where you work or where you volunteer. So that's very transparently communicated. And all of our members get up to 10 votes per ballot. So like our ballot could be a size of 18, and then you get 10 votes because we will have 10 awardees, and you spend those votes how you want. And so you actually can't put 10 votes to one organization. It's just, how that works. You get up to 10. So we kind of protect ourselves from that happening, because even if I wasn't working for an organization, what if I just wanted to lottery? So we protect ourselves from that. And then we've actually had a lot of positive feedback on during the group's review. If I volunteer for an organization, I will recuse myself from the conversation. So maybe our voting system protects us from participants having to recuse themselves from the vote. We just make sure that, or I just say our membership is good about having really transparent, equitable conversations.
So you do this also, right?
Yeah, well, we don't have, sorry, Ellen. Well, of course, we don't have grantees, but we do have a very strict conflict of interest policy, and the grant teams are formed based upon the grant teams are formed based upon particular areas like health or mental health or childcare, but we make sure that they do not review anyone that has a conflict of interest, and we require that of every single grants person.
Someone's going to comment, and we're going to take the question from the middle of the room, and then we're going to close.
Right. So I'm going to ask both of you. I'm asking the questions now. So yeah. So we also have a conflict of interest policy, or a perceived conflict of interest policy. And there are examples of what that might be, so that the grant chairs, know what that is. So again, if somebody is a major donor to an applicant, that is a perceived conflict of interest. But most people in all of our organizations are donors to other nonprofits. So you don't want to have them excluded, right? Yeah.
That cannot be grants.
Well, on that focus committee that's reviewing the application of that nonprofit that
Right.
they are a major donor.
So
And
you could-
again, you have to define, is a major donor 5,000, 10,000, 1,000, whatever.
Yeah.
Board-
So
right.
this is another place where we probably could all share information, right? Who else has a conflict of interest policy about review or voting?
Right.
Yeah, a ton of us do.
The
Ellen,
next question for Tatiana is, I heard you, and correct me if I'm wrong, that after a grant has been awarded, there can be a representative from that nonprofit on the board, right? Or as a member, as a member. So where would the conflict be?
So that's a great question. So I really think that we kind of naturally avoid that conflict because, right, the grantee partner is not on a team until the next cycle. And we wouldn't give them their own application to review because we would be aware of that. However, you actually opened up a really great opportunity and plug that I wanted to put out to the room with our last little brain cells, just, doing their thing and the synapses are firing. So our board allows you to self-nominate if you would like to join. And we, when we are doing our call out for board members, you can nominate yourself or someone else can nominate you. So how amazing would it be if one of our grantee partners stayed on as a member and then was a part of our board? Just an opportunity, like an aspirational opportunity that I want to put out there.
That-
Fellows, who, and she came from she was one of our grantee fellows, and she is now on our board.
okay, we're gonna let the woman who's been waiting patiently to ask her question, ask her question.
I was just gonna make an observation. I'm Janet Sumner from Greenville Women Giving. That what stopped us from tiered membership years ago, when there were all kinds of crazy models, A, was to stay away from that and let it settle out. It's neat to see that everybody's doing one vote. Back then, they were having quarter memberships with quarter votes. Anyway, so we opted to stay out for a while, but one thing that really stopped us was the reduced admin fee on reduced memberships, because, how do you pay for these extra members to come to events and to pay for venues or whatever? Charlotte said that they are rolling out a new program, is a pilot program, where it's a $600 level, $300 goes into grants, but the $300 goes to admin, which is what their other members pay too.
Interesting.
So they pay their fair share of the admin fee. That stays. Your overhead is able to pay for it.
Yeah, so that is interesting. So back to Ellen's point, you do have to figure out how to pay for this, whether it's fundraising, whether it's a generous donor from within the organization who sponsors it, right? So we answered some questions and we opened up some more. Thanks for that closing comment. I'm going to give each of our speakers an opportunity to make a closing comment also, and then we're going to wish you all a very good night. Who would like to start?
I've already got the mic,
You
so
got the mic.
I'm happy to kick us off as we close out. I just want to thank everyone for being in this room. It means that you value diversity. It means that you acknowledge that there is more work to be done. And if there's anything I could leave you with, it is just that your work is so important. I would not be here without the generosity of women before me. So it is an honor and a privilege to be a part of this community. And I just really, really hope you walk away continuing to strive for making our spaces more inclusive and more diverse. Thank you.
I'm going to say ditto to that, but I was thinking about this when we were talking about how to wrap up, and I was at my synagogue the other night to gather, especially to talk among community members about what's going on in the Middle East. And believe it or not, on a mat, a doormat was this saying. It said, "In here, imagine a better world. No, go out and help build it. And that's what we're all doing. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for sharing. And let's just keep collaborating.
Well, also, yes, definitely thank everybody for coming. But the one thing I want to leave is that I feel extremely optimistic. I really believe that the people we are bringing in are going to make all the difference in the world to our ability to get out there in the community, understand what the needs are, and really be able to evaluate the grants and to be able to help us with our process. And the people that I'm seeing come in over the last year have just been amazing. And I know that it's going to be a great effort.
I want to echo the way that Tatiana led off, which is thank you all so much for coming. Thank you for being willing to engage in the big what if question that kicked off our day. And please give our speakers one final round of applause. Have a good night.